morning, good afternoon. Welcome to LinkSpring's What's in Store in 2022 webinar. We're delighted that you are able to attend today. My name is Mark Peacock, Chief Marketing and Communications Officer here at LinkSpring. Today, we've got a lot of ground to cover, and we've got several presenters. A few housekeeping items is number one, we are indeed recording this, and we'll have this available for future use. Number one. Number two, if you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and use the chat function. We'll try to get as many as we possibly can, and we can go from there. So joining me today, I've got several of my colleagues. Robert Hirsch, our Senior Vice President, CTO. Vance Wheeler, who is our Operations Technology Manager. And Chris Ryan, who's our Director of Engineering. And so the agenda, what we're going to cover today, I'm going to share with you some observations from our perspective of the marketplace. We're going to make a comment or two about the Niagara Summit. We're going to touch a little bit about our Onyx LX product, touch a little bit about displays, give you a look into our roadmap for 2022. And we're going to also look at from a technology perspective, what our technology team is up to and what we have planned for 2022. Next slide, please. So, the marketplace. Very interesting times, as I think we all can agree to. It's the best of times, and sometimes it can be the worst of times. From the best of times, the market is growing, and it is growing extremely, extremely fast. And so, for example, let me share with you a few things. Next slide, please. So, let's look at the U.S. intelligent building automation market. As you can see here, this particular chart depicts the growth of the U.S. intelligent building automation market from a hardware perspective, a software perspective, as well as a service perspective. So looking at 2022 beyond, and then going to 2023, 24, and 25, you can see that it is predicted that we will indeed have a very good growth market. Next slide, please. So, a couple observations from our particular point. 21% of buildings at most have digital HVAC controls in them today. 16% have BAS, 5% have smart thermostats. 17% of buildings have occupancy sensors controlling lighting, and 5% of buildings have a lighting control system. So what that tells us is that the opportunity is tremendous as far as certain places of growth within the marketplace. Next slide, please. All right, so over the next 2 years, what types of buildings are being looked at as the smartest buildings? No surprise, we can see data centers, followed by offices, hospitals, sport venues, healthcare facilities, airports, warehouses, retail, factories, large-scale residential, and historical buildings. Again, what this is showing us is that the opportunities for technology is to make buildings smart, more energy efficient, etc., is really, really good for the next several years. Next slide, please. So a comment about the upcoming Niagara Summit. Hopefully everyone online attending the webinar has heard about the Niagara Summit, and we do hope that you will plan to join the summit. And LinkSpring will be at the summit, and we are preparing to take a large contribution to the summit. So in addition to us becoming being a gold sponsor, we are speaking in several of the breakout sessions that the folks at Tritium are planning. So we hope you'll join us and you'll be a part of that. Next slide, please. So a couple things as we get into what's new or what's going on and what's in store in 2022. Many of you already know and are aware of our Onyx LX line. And one of the new and exciting things that we're really excited about is this last bullet point, which is a new Niagara tool, a new Niagara engineering tool that is being finalized as we speak. So this will allow lots of things, lots of advantages. One, it'll continue with the one tool philosophy that we at LinkSpring have, number one. Number two, it will increase the time savings in all the programming that's involved. And three, it contributes to the Niagara horizontal IP architecture that many of you are familiar with. And we anticipate that this new Niagara tool will become available by the second week in March. We're doing the final checks and balances on it. And so please look for that, our announcement for this new Niagara tool in Onyx LX. We've added one other thing. We've added to our display offerings. We currently have a 7-inch display, and now we've just announced a launch of a 10-inch display, which is in addition to the 7-inch. So many of the same characteristics that and features and functions that are in our 7-inch display are also now available in a 10-inch display. Next slide. So a snapshot of our roadmap, and I'm going to have Robert Hirsch in here in a few minutes. But again, we continue to have a extremely aggressive roadmap whereby we're bringing operational and the workplace experiences together more and more. We do see that as the new convergence that is happening in the marketplace. We already know that OT and IT have converged. We're now seeing the operational and the workplace experiences start to converge. Also, all of our roadmap efforts where the topology will support connectivity and communication from the edge to the cloud and a hybrid of both. And again, the importance of data, being able to access that data and utilize something for it. So without further ado, I'm going to have Robert Hirsch, our Senior Vice President and CTO, talk a little bit about what's to come in 2022. Robert?
Hey, thanks, Mark. I hope everyone can hear me. First of all, I want to congratulate Mark on overcoming any technical difficulties we might be having during this presentation. He did not lose a beat, as always. Just before we get on the specifics, I'd just like to address our technology roadmap in the sense that we have a large focus on two products, actually three. One is our Genesis Edge products, another one is our Onyx LX products, and another is our connection by LinkSpring solution. And let's not forget Niagara our adaptability to Niagara. We've embraced Niagara since 2002. We've been a long time developer of the Niagara solutions, and implementation is readily, obviously exemplified in our portation of the Niagara framework onto our Genesis Edge products. So without further ado, some of the things that we're working on. So this is a peek under the covers for us to work with you guys is Niagara 4.11, which has been released, is available in for the standard offerings, Web Supervisors, JACES, our PC 8000 product, but it's also being evaluated and tested and deployed on our Genesis Edge products. Our Genesis Edge products include the Genesis Edge 534, 514, the Genesis Edge 414, and the Genesis Edge 414 VAV. Now you might ask, well, if 411 is released, why is it not on the Genesis Edge yet? Just a little bit of a education here for everyone, just to let you know. The embedded offering of the Niagara solution is a little bit delayed for us. We do have early access. However, sometimes features might be a little bit latent or forthcoming to us. So we take a little extra time to do our testing. For instance, if 411 on a JACE or a PC 8000, that's already been tested by our friends at Tritium. So we have to do that work here in-house for our Genesis Edge. So it takes some time for us to actually deliver on the new version. So that's a basic understanding why there's a delay. But Niagara 4.11, which we're going to be adapting to, is very important to us. And we do expect it to be available for our Linkspring business partners, our OEMs, and our enterprise solutions partners by the end of February, first week of March. We are testing it right now. We feel pretty comfortable with it. Some of the features that are included in there are pretty important to us, including 802.1x. Well, 802.1x, just to give you some insight on that, was released in earlier versions of Niagara. However, it wasn't available on the embedded version until 4.11. 802.1x is an authentication mechanism that enables a lot of our partners to now allow for IP-based controllers to reside on their networks. That's very important when it comes to Genesis Edge and in particular our Genesis Edge 414 VAV controller, because we're looking at literally hundreds, possibly thousands of IP controllers on a customer's network, and 802.1x is very important to them. So we're excited about adapting 4.11 for that reason. 4.11, if you're not aware of, also incorporates new features like this new secure backnet and TLS adaptation of the new TLS 1.3, and including some other edge tools. To get into that more thoroughly, you can access Tritium's release of announcement for 4.11. They go into very nice detail on those feature sets. And the edge tools, in addition to some of the edge tools that we have created, are applicable to our Genesis Edge as well. Let's move forward. 4.12. Niagara 4.12, if you haven't heard yet, it's anticipated, at least since I last heard, sometime mid this year. And as we know, that's upon us very quickly. We look forward to the Edge or the Niagara 4.12 release. However, I will give you some insights that we have the option of adapting that to the Genesis Edge products if we wish or if we do not wish. And I'll just give you some background on it. Some of our, we want to adapt to the value propositions that greatly affect our Genesis Edge when it comes to adapting to it. In this case, there are some additional edge tools, some provisioning tools, some job tools that allow for the maintenance of edge products, which is very valuable to our products. Also, there is an MQTT feature that allows us to work with Azure. We've been working with them QTT quite a bit. We've had some ups and downs with the Azure authentication features. This version now overcomes a lot of that, and that's a big deal for some of our OEM customers because they want to have their products readily available to connect to their enterprise or their database cloud solutions using MQTT and specifically authentication through and connection through Azure. Okay, let's move on. All right, so some other things to look forward to. You know, we keep advancing the products and we keep adapting to new certifications, and we want to be acceptable by different entities, including the Department of Defense. Excuse me, I'm going to look for you might be asking, what does RMF stand for? RMF stands for the, excuse me, I'm going to look for this. See, I'm not as well versed in this as Mark, but we'll get there.
So this is Mark. So with the RMF, while Robert looks for some additional facts, is something that we have been under discussion with an outside firm who helps us prepare all the artifacts and things like that. And again, we take cybersecurity extremely serious at Linkspring, and by meeting this certification or this guideline, RMF, that does help increase the cyber posture of our devices and how they're deployed. And again, the DoD is very big in this, and we believe that you'll see other related government entities follow suit as the new administration pushes through more cyber posture and more cybersecurity in the OT world.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, so what does RMF stand for? It's a risk management framework. RMF is adapted to, or it's used as a solicitation by Department of Defense to qualify systems installed within their buildings. When our steps here, it's difficult to get certified in a system because you have to be in the building, but our goal is to create what's called RMF artifacts. If you recall, the Genesis PC8000 controller and Niagara supervisors have created RMF articles. We're extending RMF artifacts, to the Genesis Edge product as well. So that's ongoing this year, and we'll take a cybersecurity posture with our device for opportunities with the Department of Defense. So it's really a pre-qualification. So if you have those types of opportunities, look forward to hearing our results of the RMF artifacts. GSA, or the General Services Administration, federal agency, we work closely with their IT and building energy teams in getting the Edge products as well, security assessed and remediated as needed. We've recently completed another round with those folks, the Edge, including Edge 534, the Edge 534 adaptable with Monit, with 514s, 414s, and so forth. So we're ready to go as far as a qualified, secure product in GSA supported projects and buildings. And then also we are currently working with the BACnet Testing Laboratories, or BTL. We endeavor to have all Edge products BTL certified before the end of the year, to also accompany our Onyx LX products, which have just recently achieved that certification recognition. So we should have a portfolio complete with BTL certification before the end of the year. Something that some of us might be interested in understanding, we've taken on the goal of creating UL 864 certification for our Edge products as well, so that we might live within a smoke control system. That is ongoing. It's a little, if anybody's gone through this process, they know it's not the easiest thing to do. There's some application engineering. We feel completely confident in our abilities and the products, especially products' abilities to fulfill those requirements, and that is anticipated to be ready before or by the end of the year as well. Okay, something that is interesting and that you might have is that the Genesis Edge product has been around, I think, since 2017, where we led with the 534, and most recently we've released the Edge 414 in late 2019, early 2020. So a little bit of a history there on the releases of the Edge. Today, what we have is really what's called a computer on chip processor called an LSM, or LinkSpring Smart Module is branded. What's significant about our LSM is that it's based on an open source specification. We adapted to that very early on. The intent there was to eliminate the idea of designing, engineering something with a blank sheet of paper, rather adapt to it, a specification that's been proven in the field by literally thousands of different developers. We took those designs, those specifications with some modifications for our own purposes and created what's called the LinkSpring Smart Module, or LSM. That design has done a number of things for us. It's adapted, it can be ported into all of our Edge products. So every Edge from a 414 up to a 534 includes this LSM. However, with everything and the technology that we face today, all things get old and they start to get dated. And manufacturers, as we felt more in your face these past number of months, is that they like to build the stuff that is more popular with other consumers. And we're in competition for chips, not just in the building automation space, but the automotive space, the computer space. Everything is under pressure. So LSM is going to be replaced with a system on module. System on module gives us some flexibility in adapting a variety of different processors, some additional multi-core processors, different memory requirements for different products. The 534 requires more of a processor than and benefits of it than possibly a 414 VAV controller, which is typically used as an application-specific controller. That's what it really is intended for. So does it require the engine of a LSM or a full-blown SOM? It probably doesn't. So we can adapt to something more suitable for its application, thus being able to control our pricing. So we're pretty excited about that. Those designs are underway. Will they be available before the end of the year? We intend for some of those changes to be visible from LinkSpring as prototypes, as units under test by the end of the year. Some of the other enhancements, which include on a Edge platform, is what is SMPS is really a power regulation. If you're familiar or have used our products before, we've worked a great deal with our power regulation on board the units. And that was represented by what we call an SMPS. That device will become integrated within the Edge controller as well. So that creates efficiencies for us. It creates in not only the management of the product, but also the manufacturability of the product and increased performance of the product. Other upgrades, and of course I alluded to them before, is that the adaptation of a system on module. We have a variety of multi-core processors we can choose from, memory enhancements, and other adaptations of experiences from the first version of our Genesis Edge products will be represented, as I call them, a hardening of the products in the next version. So we will be advancing the products as we go along throughout this year. Am I behind? Okay. All right, some other parts that we're working on. The photo represents the prototype wall sensors that we're working with. We are endeavoring to produce what we call a digital family of wall sensors. This is an example of some of the early additions that we've actually have in-house that we're testing with. Our target for these products is also by the end of the year. So the early versions of it will be pretty simple. The intent is that they will be immediately adaptable for our application-specific controllers like our Edge VAV, and will include temperature, humidity, set point, override, digital display, a number of other features that are being adapted in the product. So we are pretty excited about the Onyx wall sensors. It gives us control of features and function. It also gives us control over the cost of goods. And the adaptability of that controller for the or that sensor into our edge controller is going to be immediate. It's going to be able to recognize as soon as you connect the controller or the sensor to the controller, it's going to know what it is. It's going to be an immediate integration. So a better experience to the installer as well. Niagara ACE engine, I put that up there because there's some questions. We get some inquiries on the ACE engine. ACE engine's been around for a bit of time, and the release of it has been truncated a couple times by Tritium. It's been available for Edge 10 at a version, then became available to us in a pre-release, and then most recently has become available to us, and I believe in 4.10 version of which we're supporting today. However, we did not release it with the ACE engine. We look forward to providing an ACE deterministic engine, as they call it, from Niagara by the end of the year is our target. Now, what does that do for us? It allows for changes done to the station without requiring a reboot of the controller, so faster boot up times. Also, if there is a reboot of the unit, the station will boot up quicker. So it's just a performance in general. It's a performance enhancement of a Niagara application on an edge controller that will benefit many equipment manufacturers or where those controllers are used in the equipment application. We got anything else? Connection. Connection. If you've not heard of Connection by LinkSpring, I encourage you to inquire with our marketing department, our sales department, to ask for more questions. But Connection's been around for some time. What it has not been is a product, commercialized product necessarily. However, it does have many of the function and feature that people are looking for when it comes to data collection, data management, normalization of that data, making that data available to other applications that might be in the cloud. One thing that we do very well at LinkSpring is we are able to connect things in buildings. We've been doing that for many, many years, as well as many of you on the phone have been very successful in connecting things in buildings. However, when you connect things in buildings, do we anticipate data to be moved from the building into an application or needed in somebody's application? Somebody's applications are necessarily not that good at connecting the buildings. So we're bringing Connection to bridge that gap between connected buildings and cloud applications. So we condition the data prior to it making to the third-party applications through a series of normalization tagging. We leverage the Haystack protocol quite a bit as well. The Edge products, soon to come, will have what's called a connection connector. So where you can immediately select yes within an Edge controller to reach out through the least restrictive route to start connecting to connection and providing data from an edge controller. So look at that being something that we continue to build on. Like I said, it's available today, but it's not a part number within our catalog. It's something that we encourage you to request more information from either our sales or our marketing departments, and we will keep you up to date when things extend from our connection system.
And part of this is, again, what I alluded to early on, is the whole closed loop approach, if you will, from the edge to the cloud. And as we all know, the data side of our business now has really come forefront. And our job here is to make it very easy, very seamless to go from edge and our edge devices and Genesis controllers to a cloud environment to create that hybrid type of an approach.
Okay, finally, I think this is my last slide. This it's an introduction to our VAV, our Genesis Edge 414 VAV. It's the latest product that we've added to our Edge portfolio. It represents the first of many that we hope to introduce to our Edge portfolio, using leveraging our the Niagara framework, leveraging our knowledge of applications, and leveraging our the ability to then incorporate it within what we call a horizontal Niagara IP network. As you can see here, from left to right, we're starting with an enterprise solution. We end up with network area managers. We end up with equipment controllers, and then we also have some ancillary products that can do different things, such as Monit. We can extend the horizontal architecture also to our Edge 514s, and then finally to Edge 414 VAVs. So imagine that, a horizontal architecture where using one tool, in this case our Pro Builder product or Workbench, to connect from Edge to Enterprise is the standard quotation that we give here at LinkSpring. But one tool, one connection, and you can access everything on your network.
And it's IP based, IP driven, which again, right, what we're starting to see is IP is really starting to play a major role in buildings and facilities. And so I think the fact that not only IP, but also based on Niagara, gives us a really strong entry here to solve a lot of the new things that our building owners and operators are asking us to achieve for them.
All right. So with that, we'll hand it over to Vance. She's going to give us a little bit more insight on the VAV controller. I know a lot of people are interested or excited to know more about our VAV.
Thank you, Robert and Mark. So just real quickly, we have releasing version 2.0 of the Genesis Edge. So if you're unfamiliar with the VAV products that we currently have, it is a 14 points of I/O on board, fully Niagara programmable controller. So your normal Workbench, you can go in and you can modify, change the programming, get into everything that you have. It's got an integrated pressure transducer. It's got the 4 analog outputs, 4 digital outputs, and 6 universal inputs. So it's built on N4. So it comes fully loaded with a Niagara license. When it comes out of the factory, it's commissioned. It's got the configurable station in it. It's ready to be installed. We have 27 VAV configurations right now. The Rapid Integration tool builds the graphics for you. ASHRAE has a guideline 36 that we'll get into a little bit later, but we are guideline 36 compliant. Comes with a balancing tool, a commissioning tool. The digital outputs and analog outputs are both configurable, so you can change them adapt them to the application that you have. We have auxiliary heating, so you can do a drive open, drive closed, a digital open close valve, on-off relay contact, or a 0 to 10 volt, 2 to 10 volt. Because our DOs are also configurable, we can do exhaust fans. We can support exhaust fans now. We have 4 different sequences of operations for exhaust fans. To connect the controllers together, instead of doing a home run to each controller, we use a spanning tree. So we can literally daisy chain the controllers together, bring the last one back around and to make a loop out of it. We also have lexicons, which are going to be great for all of the applications out there that you have to have customized naming. Every customer's got a different naming sequence. Vendors have different namings, so we support all that. So a little bit about spanning tree. What it gives us the ability is to basically daisy chain the controllers, we bring it back. Spanning tree was originally developed by Cisco for network reliability purposes. It will go out there and it will see that, ports 1 and 2 are both connected in a loop. It will go out there from port 1, ping each device. It'll go out there to port 2, ping each device. And it'll say, okay, to get to this route was the fastest to get each one of these devices does a software cut in the wire so that it's no longer a loop. But if you lose communications to a controller, it will go back there and redo the process again to see the fastest way to get back to controller. So if you get something that goes down. Our Niagara license. We have a special license for these controllers. So number one is when you buy a 414, you cannot upgrade that license. It comes with the license that it has. It's 50 points, 3 devices. So it's limited on the number of backnet connections that we can make to 3 different devices. We typically only use 1, and the 50 points that we bring in. But the great thing about this license is that it doesn't require any maintenance. And when version 4.11, 4.12 comes out, all you have to do is go out there and tell it to fetch the new license. So that was a really good thing that Tritium gave for us. ASHRAE G36, Guideline 36. As we all know, every engineer has their own best way to control a VAV. Some of them are a lot more advanced than other engineers. Guideline 36 came out and gave us a level playing field and said, this is how you're supposed to do it. So we follow the Guideline 36. We have implemented everything in there for you. All the configurable points in there are there if you need to modify something. So as the new enhancements and versions of G36 come out, we will continue to update those. Those will be available, and we will be able to update stations. The big thing is that going back to your engineers and saying, we already have a proven G36 sequence. We know you wrote this one. Can we use the G36? Most engineers are going to say, yes, you can go right ahead and use the ASHRAE guidelines. We have the rapid integration tool. No matter what, we have to collect all the information for our VAVs, whether it comes out of a retrofit where you have no documentation, where you need to go in and collect the data, or you're getting it from the engineering prints. We collect all this data and we put it into a spreadsheet. In the spreadsheet, we give it the station's name, its IP address. We also have information that we pull back in as part of as-built MAC addresses. IT guys want to know what the MAC addresses are out there on the devices on their network. We will be able to give you 100% accurate as-builts at the end of the job. We tell if it's what type of VAV it is, which one of the 27 configurations we use, what type of box it is, how large is it, your CFM's at 1 inch, that's how you calibrate your box, min-max flows, type of thermostat, all that information is collected into the spreadsheet. That spreadsheet is then used by the integration tool to build your stations. Of the VAV configurations, if anybody comes across a configuration that we haven't thought of yet or that's not in here, let us know and we will add it. We started with, I believe it was 14 configurations. We're up to 27 now. So we are not opposed to adding to this as we come up with new adaptations. So every time that I think we've found them all, somebody comes up with something new. So I'm not going to get into details of these, but you can see that we have them, and that'll be part of training that you'll understand each one of those configurations. We automatically build the graphic based off of the information that you put into that spreadsheet. That graphic, the exact same graphic, resides inside the VAV controller itself and at the supervisor, so it's in both places. So if your supervisor is not available when you have to start balancing and commissioning your VAV boxes, you can go in and use the exact same graphic at the VAV level. If your network is up, you can use a wireless or whatever your building owner will allow you to do, so that your balancer can go in there and use a wireless, or your tech can use wireless to go in there, wireless network to go in there and connect to your VAVs. We also can plug directly into the VAVs with a USB mini, so that you can connect. So we have multiple ways to connect to those controllers. The Onyx configuration service, the rapid integration tool, it'll go in there and it builds your tree for you. Inside your spreadsheet, you told it, we have air handler 1, air handler 2, rooftop unit 1. We have zones inside each one of those air handlers or rooftop units. So you have zone 1, 2, 3, or first floor east, first floor west. However you break those zones up, it doesn't care. Then underneath those, it puts the appropriate VAV in there. So we build the tree for you, and those graphics are in there. All of your global logic is in there. So your air handler has a master global logic folder that is pushed down to the zone global logic. The zone global logic pushes its information down into the VAV itself. Our digital outputs, because they're configurable, you can have up to 4 stages of electric reheat. You can do floating actuators. You can do drive open, drive closed. If your VAV has a drive open and drive closed, and your auxiliary heat has a drive open, drive closed, we can support that. We can do series parallel fan. And the great thing is because these are configurable, if the electrician goes out there and he lands the fan on DO1 and stage 1 on DO2, but they were backwards, you can go in there and easily reconfigure your VAV on the fly to make it fit the configuration. Electricians are notorious for getting drive open, drive closed backwards on a reverse actuator. So you can go in there and easily change those with the configurable digital outputs. Our analog outputs, we can do the actuator, auxiliary heat, a heating valve, SCR, electric reheat. So you can set it up so it's 2 to 10 volts, 0 to 10 volts, or 10 to 2, or 10 to 0, your reverse acting actuators, so that we can support any of those configurations that we run into. Lexicons, we touched on this briefly. If you have 4 different major clients that all have their different naming conventions, you bring in you bring up your lexicon template, and I've called it discharge air temperature in the template. You can go back there and rename that DAT or DA temp. It doesn't matter. So after you install those lexicons, all of your histories, all of your alarms will come back, and it will come back with the naming convention that you picked. So even though we've called it discharge air temperature, the end user only sees DA temp. So the benefits, so the things that are really driving us that are going to make this beneficial for you to use this. We were the first IP-based VAV controller for Niagara. It's the horizontal architecture. Your server, your air handlers, your boilers, your chillers, your VAVs, and your auxiliary equipment, blower coils, they're all on that horizontal architecture. One tool gets you into everything. It's so easy to bounce back and forth between controllers using the same workbench. The configuration wizard goes out there and it builds the information for you, taking all that time away that you needed. It's competitive market pricing. The BACnet MSTP and IP both. The spanning tree is to be able to do that loop architecture. And I did mention this before, we can do up to 25 controllers. The integrated I/O points on the Onyx network, it works great for either new or retrofits because we collect the data the same way. It doesn't care where that data comes from. Overall deployment cost is less. So at the end of the day, your tech time, your installation time is less with the tools that we've worked on.
And I think, I just like to jump in before we get to Chris, is that I think your last point there, as far as time savings, is an extremely important value add here, because getting on a job, getting it done right, and getting off the job always remains extremely important. And I think some of the features, functions, and the tools that have been built in this definitely we took into account. So without further ado, we want to keep going. I want to ask Chris Ryan, who's our Director of Engineering, and to talk a little bit about some exciting things happening in professional services. Chris.
Thank you, Mark. And I will try to be succinct because we are running short on time and I'm sure there's a few questions. So just a couple of things coming new that started in our professional services group. We're going to be offering some panels, pre-configured panels for our partner channel. We have what we're calling our complex panels and then our simple panels. Our simple panels, really what you see is what you get up there in the picture. It's got a power supply, a backplane, and an enclosure. Our complex panels are definitely more involved. They're UL listed. We isolate the power supply. We include the wireways and relays for the DOs. There's terminal blocks for wiring. So again, going to be a bit more expensive than the basic panels, but based off of your needs, we can provide that. One thing that's important to note is that these do not come with the controller. You purchase the controller, you purchase the panel, we will install and wire it for you. This way, if you need a JACE 8 with 25 devices versus an Edge 534 with 5 devices, whatever you need. And we do have different models of these panels on the complex side. So if you need additional I/O, we can cover all of that. So look for pricing on that coming soon. The next that we want to talk about are our edge-centric applications. You may or may not have heard of these. We call them ECAs for short. Basically, they're ready to go out of the box applications that are built and designed for use with our Edge 534 platform. We say they're ready to go out of the box, but we know that everybody has their own secret sauce that they'd like to add. So if you want to make changes to it, absolutely. This is completely programmable. But if you like what we've done, you can also just configure it and use it as is. We also include documentation, drawings, and the application itself is very well documented. In Niagara, we've created text box for what we're doing, what's the purpose of each different component in there to make it easy for the integration piece. What you see at the bottom is a list of the existing ECAs that will be available shortly for all of our partners. And then lastly, we wanted to talk about training opportunities. So available now, we do offer our Infor certification training. There's dates posted through the end of this year. We do classes in person and we do some virtual. There is no mix. There's no good way of doing a mixed virtual in-person class right now, but if you look online, you will see the classes that are listed as in-person. You'll see the classes that are listed as virtual. And they are filling up. I actually think that we're full right now for March and April. But take a look at what's available. We do also offer customized training, like if you want on-site training for your office or for your end users, reach out. We do offer pricing schemes for that as well. As Bob and Mark talked about, we have our Onyx LX products. So we've already prepared some of those videos and put them on our YouTube channel. So if you want to get a jump start on Onyx LX, go and check out some of those videos. And then coming soon, we're offering edge-specific training. We get some requests from time to time from our partners on how to do specific things within our edge products. So we're putting together a 2-day training that will include a certification at the end of the second day. But it's designed to show you how to configure, how to commission, how to set up our edge products. And there will be a special focus on the Edge VAV product. As Vance was talking about, we try to make it as easy as possible to get those configured and set up using the Rapid Integration tool. But we want to make sure you feel comfortable using that before you walk out of that class. So that will be coming shortly. Look for an announcement on that. And that's it for me.
So I guess it's back to me. And in getting ready to close out, I just want to make a comment a little bit about the supply chain. And again, it's no secret. Every manufacturer across the globe we are challenged, including Link-Spring. However, I'm proud to say that one of the things that we did, we anticipated this and have built in and have been able to minimize the disruption. Not to say that we can't be disrupted or we're not being disrupted, but the foresight that we had and the relationships and things that we took upon ourselves before this really got sort of out of hand, which it is today, we were able to be prepared for it. So, but one thing is, again, for all of you out there, we are 100% committed to keeping open communications and letting you know where we're at, providing updates and things like that. And so I think it's important. What I'd like to end the supply chain part of this is that, bear with us. We're doing everything that we humanly can to keep all the products coming as fast as you order them and getting out the door. So we thank you for your understanding there. And want to also remind you of the resources. As a Link-Spring partner, we have tons and tons of resources, and use them. Our resources at linkspring.com. If you're not have access to that, drop us a note at marketing@linkspring.com, and Angela and Tanya will help you get you registered for that. We've got the YouTube channel, and then you can see some useful email addresses there. And finally, just want to thank you guys for your continued business and support. And one thing that's not up here that I encourage you is your input is extremely valuable to us. You help us prepare and guide the roadmap that Robert touched on and so forth and so on. So please always give your input. You can give it to myself, you can give it to marketing, you can give it to your business development person, to anybody here, and we will see that it is circulated in our conversations and things like that. And we've got time for 2 quick questions. Again, one question is from someone, how is the new Onyx LX Niagara engineering tool going to be offered? Excellent question. We are finalizing that by next week, and we are going to make it advantageous for our business partners to be able to pick up and utilize the Niagara tool that's there. So stay tuned for that, but I think you'll be very pleased with what we come up with and how you can make use of that, both on future installs as well as those installs that may be out in the field that you want to adjust. And last question, this is, I guess, Robert, you and me on this one. Do you think that LinkSpring will be coming up with a controller like Edge with more memory and processing power?
Answer, yes.
Should we stop there? Say no more. Sometimes less is more. But anyway, from all of us who presented today and everybody at LinkSpring, we really want to thank you for joining us today. We thank you for your continued business and your support. And we're here to be of assistance and look forward to our next webinar. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.